want you to hear me say this to you today, okay? Because that fear and that doubt, that 2 a.m., what am I even doing anymore kind of spiral that we can all go into, it doesn't mean that you took a wrong turn. And I think oftentimes we think that's exactly what it is. Like we got off our path, or we're on the wrong road, or this just isn't for me. It might mean instead that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. So I want you to think about that, because today we're talking about the road less traveled and what it actually costs and why it never looks the way the easy road looks, and what it means to actually keep going when nobody around you seems to have the same kind of doubts that you do. And a lot of times this road can, even though it is bumpier and it is darker, and it can be a lot lonelier some days, it's actually the only road that leads to the kind of full life freedom that you're actually after. So I want you to stay with me, girl, today, because this one's going to hit home, I think, for a lot of you. Girl, if life handed you a plot twist, a divorce, a layoff, an empty nest, or you're just ready to reinvent your life and write the best chapter yet, you're in the right place. It's not a midlife crisis, it's a calling. Hey, I'm Lori Ann, Christian AI business coach, single mom of 2 miracle babies, and the woman who rebuilt her entire life from her mom's living room floor while homeschooling my kids, working full-time, and earning my MFA in creative writing. And I built a 6-figure business doing all of it by the grace of God. We're putting God first, family second, and AI third. And God, He is never late. Hey girl, and welcome back to the Midlife Comeback Club podcast. New episodes are still dropping every single Monday and Thursday, so be sure to subscribe or follow so you will never miss an episode. I'm so glad you're here with me today because a couple of nights ago, I was watching YouTube, as I often do. I love watching podcasts on YouTube. It was actually one of my favorites, Ed Milet, who I love. I've been watching him for several years now. And whenever I feel like I need a boost of inspiration or motivation, he's usually my go-to guy. I always love hearing his take on things because he went through like a really, really difficult time in his life, similar to what I have been through in some ways, not always. I remember he was talking about how him and his wife could not pay the water bill. And so they were outside, I think it was by the pool, taking their showers, and he was having to hold up a towel every day for her to take her shower and that type of thing. Like he had really hit rock bottom and not being able to pay his bills. And so he was talking about the topic of success. And one line really stopped me in my tracks that he said, if you're feeling fear, doubt, and anxiety right now, that's actually not a sign that you're lost. That's a sign you're on the right road. You're just on the road less traveled. And I thought, yes, that's exactly what it feels like. And girl, I had to sit with it for a minute because I actually paused the video and I just stared at the ceiling for a second. Because if you're anywhere, I think in the middle of a midlife transition right now, like a lot of you are, maybe you've got a coaching business, but you're not sure it's actually working for you. Or maybe you want something of your own. You want to start a business, but you can't exactly name it yet. You're not too sure what that is going to be. Or maybe you're just, staring at this whole AI thing like it's some sort of foreign language you have to learn, and you're not sure if you even want to learn it. I want you to hear me say this to you today, okay? Because that fear and that doubt, that 2 a.m., what am I even doing anymore kind of spiral that we can all go into, it doesn't mean that you took a wrong turn. And I think oftentimes we think that's exactly what it is. Like we got off our path, or we're on the wrong road, or this just isn't for me. It might mean instead that you're exactly where you're supposed to be. So I want you to think about that. Because today we're talking about the road less traveled and what it actually costs and why it never looks the way the easy road looks. And what it means to actually keep going when nobody around you seems to have the same kind of doubts that you do. And a lot of times this road can, even though it is bumpier and it is darker and it can be a lot lonelier some days, it's actually the only road that leads to the kind of full life freedom that you're actually after. So I want you to stay with me, girl, today, because this one's going to hit home, I think, for a lot of you. I know it did for me when I heard Ed Milet talking about it. And I really want to dive a little deeper into this because I think all of us, me included, I think we can get into that way of thinking where we think, oh no, this just isn't for me because things are a little bumpier. This is not going as I thought it would, or things are a little off track. So I must be on the wrong road. But we need to reframe all those limiting beliefs that are happening. But before we do, I want to take just a second to tell you about something because I'm really excited to announce this today. If you've been sitting on the sidelines of your own comeback and just wondering if you are too late or if you're just exhausted or if you feel like you're way too far behind in midlife, I have a private community just for you. It's the Midlife Comeback Club, and it was built for exactly this moment that you're standing in. Called to Coach, Built to Break Free, which is my new program inside of the club. It has 6 phases, it's 22 modules, and it teaches you how to build a full AI-powered business on the back end, built in just 90 minutes a day. Incredible. And I will tell you more about it at the end because something really exciting is happening later in this episode in a couple weeks that I want to announce. But just hold on to that for a second, all right? So let's get into this. So I think a lot of you out there, many of us could be carrying this right now. And I just want to call it out because you might be thinking things like, I know I have thought in the past, if this were really God's plan for me, it would feel a lot easier than this, right? We think it should come easy. And we think smooth oftentimes means we're on the right path. We think if the road gets really bumpy and if we're scared and if we don't have the complete roadmap that we're looking for, if nobody around us really gets what we're trying to do, then we think that must mean we misheard God. That must mean we're not cut out for this kind of life. That must mean it's time to just quit and get back in the car with everybody else and go the same direction that everybody else is going. But let's be honest, that's not just a lie. That's actually the loudest lie, I think, in midlife reinvention. Because the real truth is the easy road, it's really crowded. Like it's well lit, right? Like everybody knows pretty much where they're going. It's got the Starbucks every few miles and everybody's got their GPS and their navigation set to like the same destination. Everybody's on that highway. And it leads exactly where everybody else ends up. So it seems like it's really, really comforting. But where it ends up is usually nowhere close to the life that you actually wanted. So we don't think about that part. We just look at the road that everyone's taking. It seems like so much easier than the road we're on. But here's the other thing about that easy road, that nobody on it is asking. They're not asking, is this even working? Nobody on it is doubting maybe the road that they chose. They just think that they need to be on that road and that it'll eventually lead to this magical place that everybody tells them it will lead. And you might think that that's because they've got it all figured out and you don't, right? But really, it's because they're not carrying anything. There is no risk on their road. There is no sacrifice. There is no skin in the game. And here's what I know to be true. With no sacrifice, there's no freedom on the other side of it either. And that's the secret that I think nobody knows on that other road. And the other thing, oftentimes, that they find out at the end of their life, they often look back and wish that they had tried something different or that they had taken a risk. It's not that they tried and they may have failed, or they tried and it didn't work out the way they thought and led them somewhere else. It's often that they just didn't try at all. And they'll never really know who they could have become or what they could have done. So when you feel that doubt creeping in, and when you wonder if you're crazy for even trying this new thing, I want you to consider that the doubt itself might be the receipt. That might be your proof of purchase, right? Your proof you're actually building something instead of just watching everybody else build theirs. And that is so important to recognize. I think about the season that I was sleeping on my mom's living room floor in midlife, pushing 50, 2 little kids, our dog, no income, No plan, not even a 5-year plan. I didn't even have a next day plan at that point. That was pushing it. And I remember that specific feeling that I felt on that floor, like not metaphorically, like literally. The tile on my mom's living room floor, the sound of my kids breathing in the dark, the dog shifting around, trying to find a comfortable spot somewhere for the night. And I remember lying there some nights doing the math in my head that just never seemed to compute, trying to figure out how you turn I have nothing into I have a life and I will be okay. And coming up with absolutely zero every single time, not knowing how I can make the numbers work. And here's the thing nobody tells you about in that kind of season. It doesn't feel spiritual while you're in it, even though you might be digging for that and trying to have the faith and trying to believe that God has a better plan. But nobody hands you some devotional and says, this is the good part. It just feels like the floor is really hard, it's really cold, and you're exhausted, and you have no idea how any of this is going to turn into an actual, real, fulfilling life. You don't get the soundtrack at that moment, you don't get the montage, and you don't get to see the final phase of the movie. At that moment, you just get the floor. That's it. And I didn't have the map. I didn't have all the bright lights. I didn't have a mentor telling me, hang on, 3 years from now, your life is going to look vastly different than it does right now. All I had was a little mustard seed of faith and absolutely nothing else to go on. That was about all I had. And that was pushing it for me to even find the mustard seed. But girl, that was the road. That uncomfortable, dark, no idea what's next kind of road was the exact road that led me here to this microphone, right? To this message that I'm giving you today, to you listening to me right now, wherever you are. If you're in your car, if you're on a walk, you're folding laundry, or if you're on your own cold floor right now, or you might even not have that. That was kind of the perspective I tried to gain in that moment. Like, at least we are able to be on my mom's living room floor for 1-bedroom apartment right now that she was renting. Because I was grateful for that we had a roof over our head. And you might be in a place where you don't even have that at this moment. You might be sitting in a hotel somewhere or out on the street wondering how you're going to get your life back together again. God was never confused about where that road went. I just couldn't see it yet. And I think that's the part we forget in the middle of our own hard season that we're going through. It's the not knowing. The not knowing isn't the same as God not knowing. In Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." Love that scripture. My favorite scripture. That's the one that I had on the Post-it next to my palette on the living room floor that I looked at every single night. And notice it doesn't say plans to make this easy. It just says plans to prosper you, plans for hope, plans for a future you can't see yet from the floor that you're sitting on right now. And Isaiah 43:19, one of my other favorites, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." A way in the wilderness, girl, not a way around it. It says in it. God doesn't usually reroute us to the smooth road. He makes a way right through the hard one. He doesn't wait for the wilderness to just clear out before he shows up in it. He shows up, though, right in the middle of it, while you're still in that mess and while the map still doesn't make any sense at all. So how do you actually walk this road? The one that carries all the doubt, the fear, the am I really doing this kind of moments without turning around? I want to give you 4 things. And I really love this episode today because this is the kind of episode I think I really needed to hear at that moment of my life that I didn't have at that time. So number 1, reframe what fear and doubt actually mean. Because fear doesn't mean stop. Fear usually means you're finally doing something big enough to actually matter. So if you've never felt scared building your coaching business or using AI for the first time, or just simply putting yourself out there for the first time, that might be a sign you're actually playing small, not a sign that you're safe. And I want you to try something this week, all right? So the next time that fear shows up, before you record the reel or before you send that email, before you decide to change your job, before you open up an AI tool that you've never touched, instead of asking, why am I so scared? Ask, what am I finally doing that's worth being scared of? And that question alone will change how you carry the fear. Number 2, you don't need that whole road lit up. We think we do, but you don't. You just need the next 90 minutes, I like to say, because this is where my 90-minute CEO framework comes in. You're not required to see 5 years down the road. I didn't have that map. Like I said, I didn't have the 5-day map of my life at that time, and I didn't have even the next day map. I had the next 90-minute map. So you're not even required to see the next month. You're only required to show up for the next 90 minutes. Whether that's one prompt or one page, one small, faithful step that you're going to take, and let that be enough for today. And that's how my faith-powered AI systems really work. They're small, consistent, faithful steps instead of this long, drawn-out 5-year map that you don't have yet. Sometimes that can be really overwhelming in the middle of your midlife reinvention and figuring out what this new chapter looks like for you. But I find 90 minutes are doable. And some days your 90 minutes can just be writing one email that you've been dreading to send, or writing that email that you really want to send that you haven't sent. Some days it's just opening up your AI brain and asking it one question you've been too scared to ask. It doesn't have to be super big. It just has to be today. And number 3, I want you to stop trying to get everybody else's approval to stay on your road. This is like, I think, one of the defining moments of midlife. We finally get into that place in our 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond where we just think, I don't really care what everybody else thinks anymore. And in a way, it's such a great feeling. It's like all the baggage is lifted because you feel like, you finally are able to become true to yourself. You're not trying to impress anybody. You're not trying to do all these things that other people tell you have to do. You can actually decide for yourself in midlife what it is you want this chapter to look like and not care about what everybody else thinks. Because if everybody around you fully understands what you're building at the moment or what your dreams are, you actually might not be building anything new, or you might not be building the thing that is really true to you. The road less traveled is, by definition, less traveled. That's in it, right? That means fewer people are going to get it right away. That's not rejection. That's just what pioneering looks like. The pioneer woman, right? I think about how many times in my own life I wanted somebody to just tell me, oh, yes, Lorianne, this makes perfect sense. You're on the right road. Just keep going. And how often that confirmation never came from the people around me. It came in the quiet. It came in my prayers. It came from doing the next thing anyway, but being really uncertain about the next thing. And your job isn't to convince everybody else that you're doing the right thing. Your job is just to keep walking and keep talking to God about what you're doing and keep trusting the Holy Spirit and your own instincts. And stop worrying about everybody else around you, because 9 times out of 10, they're not going to get it. And I can guarantee you, I told people a lot of things that I wanted to do, and they all looked at me like I was completely nuts. And so I did get to a place where sometimes family, friends, the people we love the most, don't really understand what you're building. But then you'll find other friends, new friends, like in my community, that are building businesses and have the same interests that you do and reinventing their lives in midlife, and they completely get what you're doing. And so sometimes our friends can shift in a major dramatic way, I think, too, in midlife, because we are repositioning ourselves. We're trying different things. We are pivoting midlife to see what the next 10, 20, 30 years are going to look like. And we're doing it scared. We might be scared, but we're doing it anyway. And number 4, let the hard season build something in you that the easy road never could. And here's what I've come to believe about that floor that I slept on for 9 months. It wasn't wasted time after all. I felt like it was at the time. It wasn't just something I was supposed to survive and forget about. It really built something inside of me that I needed, that I didn't see that I needed at the time. But now, of course, as Steve Jobs says, you can look back and you connect the dots, right? But I can connect the dots now, but because that floor built in me a resilience. It built in me the ability to be extremely resourceful. And it made my relationship with God so much stronger that I would not trade that time for anything. Not even for the easier story that I thought I wanted at the time. So if you're in your hard season right now, I don't want you to just white knuckle your way through it, hoping it ends soon. I want you to ask what it's building on the inside of you, because it's building something. It always is, even though you can't see it in the moment. So here's what I want you to walk away with today, okay? That fear that you're feeling, it's not evidence that you're lost. And the doubt, it's not evidence that you didn't hear God right. The fact that it's actually hard, that's not evidence that you're on the wrong road. I used to believe that's what it equaled. Like if something was hard or difficult, that I must be pushing or trying something that God doesn't want me to be doing. But it might just mean you're finally on that road that is actually going to lead you somewhere to that full life freedom, financial freedom, all those things that you have been wanting. More time to spend with your kids as you get into your later years, or your grandchildren, or the ability not to be locked down in a 9 to 5 if that is what you're looking for. The ability to keep your job that you love so much and build something on the side that's your true passion. Whatever that looks like for you, that freedom is what you're working toward on the road less traveled. And your comeback is absolutely not behind you. It's up ahead on the road most people are too scared to take. But you're taking it, girl. You're taking the road less traveled because you see your life at the end. That's the road less traveled that leads to the freedom that you're looking for. The other well-traveled road will eventually lead to a place, even though it doesn't look dark, lonely, gloomy, bumpy for the people that are on that. It will look like that when they get to the end of that road at the end of their life, if they didn't take the risks they wish they had taken, if they didn't pursue the gifts that God had given them, if they didn't take the risk to do what was on their heart, to live life fully. That's not where you want to end up. So even if the road less traveled that you're on now feels dark, feels lonely, feels really difficult, feels bumpy, can't see what's up ahead, you'd much rather be on a road like that that's less traveled, that will end where you know that you laid everything out on that road, that you took every possible detour, that you took every little turn around the bend, that you went through the fog, that you went through the storms, you did it all. And one day you might wake up and actually realize that you've landed in the place that you always knew you could be all along. And that is the true miracle. So if you're on the floor right now, literally or figuratively, I need you to hear me. God is never late. I always say that, but it's so true. He's not late to your mess. He's not late to your midlife. And he's not late to this exact moment you're in. There's a reason that you're here. So if this episode stirred something inside of you, I have to tell you about something right now that I'm so excited about, because I'm hosting a brand new live masterclass this month called the Faith Powered AI Dream Team. And it's happening on Thursday, August 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern. This one is for you. If you've been standing at the edge of this road we just talked about, you're called to something more, but the idea of using AI to build it still feels like some foreign language you don't speak yet. In this masterclass, I'm going to walk you through exactly what it looks like to build your own faith-powered AI dream team on the back end of your online coaching business. The same kind of system I use to run my entire coaching business now. So you can stop feeling like you have to do this alone on the hard road and the dark with no map. These are exactly the systems that I use to build my 6-figure business when I was in the darkest place in my life. So you don't need the whole road lit up. You just need someone who's already walked it to hand it to you like a flashlight, which absolutely I'm going to do for you. So the link to register is in the show notes. Grab your spot for August 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come as you are, bring all of your doubt, all of your fear. And if you've only got the mustard seed of faith, that's cool. I want you to be there because that's more than enough to walk into the room. I cannot wait to show you all of the exciting things that AI can do now for your business. So please go down there, jump into the masterclass, get registered, and sign up. Okay, so thank you so much for being with me here today. Truly, if you know a woman who's on her own road less traveled right now, feeling the fear, feeling the doubt, wondering if she's absolutely nuts for even trying, send her this episode because she needs to know she's not lost. She's just on that road less traveled. And I want to leave you with this. The smooth road was never the promise. The comeback was. You don't need to see that whole road out before you, okay? You just need to take the next right, faithful step. God isn't waiting for the road to get any easier. He's already walking it with you. He's right by your side. So until next time, keep putting God first, your family second, and you can trust now that the faith-powered AI systems are here. And I will catch you back here for the next episode. Thank you so much for listening. Hey girl, I hope today's episode gave you a little faith, a little fire, and maybe even a next step you didn't have when you pressed play. So if it did, would you take 30 seconds and share it with one woman in your life who needs to hear this right now? And if this podcast has been speaking to your heart, I would absolutely love it if you leave me a quick review over on Apple Podcasts. It helps this show reach more midlife women just like you who are ready to start building the life God actually designed them for. So until next time, keep choosing faith over fear, and don't you dare give up on your next chapter. I'll see you back here really soon.